she yelled. You will never be enough. I need a real man who knows how to lead. I stayed silent while she smirked. That night she packed her bags and walked out. Months later, my cousin sent me pictures of her living with him, proving she chose family betrayal over loyalty. I, 31 male, had been with Veronica, 30, for 6 years. We met working at a large pharmaceutical company in Boston, Massachusetts. I was a research scientist, earning $105,000 per year. Veronica worked in corporate communications, bringing in $85,000. Our combined income was a solid $190,000. We lived in a charming older apartment near the city, paying $3,100 a month in rent. Our social life was dominated by Veronica's need for status. We went to expensive fundraisers and pretentious gallery openings. She was always pushing for a bigger apartment or a more luxurious car. My friends, mostly from the science field, tolerated her but found her materialistic. She constantly criticized my perceived lack of financial ambition. My opportunity came when a biotech startup in Research Triangle Park, North Carolina, offered me a director of R&D position. The offer was a life changer. It included a base salary of $220,000, a significant $50,000 annual stock grant, and an $80,000 starting bonus. This was a jump of over $115,000 in base salary alone. The company offered full relocation benefits. I presented the offer to Veronica one cold evening, excited about the future. I laid out the financial details and the career advancement. Her face hardened as she read the letter. North Carolina, Alex? She asked, her voice tight with sarcasm. A director at some place nobody has ever heard of. It is a massive promotion, Veronica, I emphasized, and the total compensation package is $350,000 in the first year. She tossed the offer onto the coffee table with a sound of disgust. Boston is my home, she announced dismissively. My contacts are here. I am not moving for some second-tier science job. This is not second tier, I argued, trying to remain calm. This is leadership. She stood up abruptly, her face twisted into a mask of scorn. You will never be enough, Alex, she yelled, her voice piercing the quiet apartment. I need a real man who knows how to lead. I felt the sting of the insult, but I kept my composure. I stayed silent while she smirked, clearly believing her words held power over me. I simply nodded once, letting her think she had won the argument. That night, she packed a few bags and walked out, claiming she needed space from my childish dreams. Update 1. I accepted the director role in North Carolina the moment she walked out the door. The company was willing to pay for temporary housing while I searched for a home. My start date was set for 5 weeks away. The first thing I did was open several private bank accounts, separating my savings from our joint accounts. I changed my direct deposit for my last 2 paychecks to flow into my new, individual accounts. I also started working with a certified appraiser to value our shared furniture and assets fairly. Veronica only texted me, never called. She completely shut down any serious discussion about the job or our future. You still haven't canceled that ridiculous offer? She texted a few days later. I am moving forward with the offer, Veronica, I replied with a simple, factual text. You are such a fool, she responded. That place will chew you up and spit you out. Our shared friends, highly influenced by Veronica's dramatic retelling, reinforced her dismissive lines. My college friend, Ben, called me, sounding concerned but critical. Veronica says you gave up your great job here for peanuts in the South, Ben said doubtfully. Is that true? My new base salary is $220,000, Ben, I informed him without emotion. It is a massive promotion. I don't know, man, he replied unconvinced. Boston status matters more than a salary outside the city. I did not argue with him. I spent my time researching the best Raleigh neighborhoods and arranging for a secure storage unit for her half of the furniture. I created detailed spreadsheets for my budget and my new investment strategy. I was quietly, efficiently building my escape plan, piece by piece. Her absence was a relief, giving me the space I needed to focus entirely on the logistics. Update 2. With the start date approaching, I knew I could not delay the final announcement. I had secured a short-term, fully furnished corporate apartment near my new office in Cary, North Carolina. I emailed Veronica, telling her I needed to meet to finalize the paperwork for the apartment and the separation of our possessions. She met me at a public coffee shop, clearly trying to maintain an air of superiority. So, you're back, she stated, sliding into the booth across from me, ready to admit that this was all a big mistake. No, I replied, placing a stack of documents on the table. I am leaving Boston for good next Wednesday. I have resigned from my job. Her face went pale, realizing the finality of my statement. You actually went through with it? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. You threw away our 6 years for this. I chose to pursue a director-level position that you repeatedly mocked. I countered, looking her directly in the eye. You made it clear that you were not supportive of my ambition. I was testing you, Alex. She insisted, leaning forward. A real leader would have convinced me to stay. A real partner would have been supportive. I corrected her gently. Your test was simply an insult to my potential. She changed tactics abruptly, her voice turning hard and demanding. If you move to North Carolina, I am completely done with you, she declared, her eyes flashing with anger. The engagement is off. You choose that worthless director title over me. I simply nodded, accepting her ultimatum without a fight. I choose the director title. I stated plainly. And I choose my own path. She stood up instantly, making a dramatic scene in the middle of the coffee shop. She grabbed her bag and stormed out without another word. I stayed put, calmly reviewing the next steps for my lease termination. I felt a tremendous weight lift from my shoulders. The relationship was now officially, irrevocably over. Update 3. The fallout over the next 2 weeks was a textbook example of emotional volatility. Veronica cycled through every manipulative tactic imaginable. She spent the first week in explosive anger. She sent dozens of abusive texts calling me a financial coward and a disloyal partner. You will hate the South, Alex, one text read. You will be miserable without me. I am looking forward to the career challenge. I replied to only one of her texts, maintaining a cool detachment. She then attempted to bargain, suddenly calling me and acting sweet. I can be wrong sometimes, darling. She cooed over the phone. I will move with you, I promise. Just come back. I am moving on, Veronica, I stated flatly. I am building my new life alone. The bargaining failed, leading to a brief period of dramatic depression. She claimed she was too ill to leave her bed and missed several days of work. I continued with my preparations unfazed. I hired movers, paid my last month's rent, and informed the utility company. On moving day, Veronica was conveniently gone. She had taken a weekend trip with her friends, avoiding the final painful logistics. I felt nothing but intense relief watching the moving truck pull away. I closed the door to the empty apartment for the final time and drove toward the new start. My new life in North Carolina began immediately. My corporate apartment was spacious, modern, and quiet. My first day as director of R&D was intense and incredibly engaging. I managed a team of 15 scientists focused on novel drug discovery. I was finally in a leadership position, making important, high-impact decisions. The job was exactly the challenge I needed. Update 4. I fully embraced my new life in Research Triangle Park over the next 8 months. I found a strong community among my highly intellectual colleagues and neighbors. I started a rigorous routine running the local greenway every morning and joining a science book club in the evenings. My professional life was a major success. I led 2 key projects that secured significant venture capital funding for the company. My financial success was immediate and undeniable. The $80,000 starting bonus hit my new account quickly. 6 months into the job, I received my first annual stock grant, valued at $50,000. I used a portion of my earnings for a significant down payment on a beautiful new construction home. The house, valued at $725,000, was in a quiet, upscale suburb of Raleigh. I finally owned my own home. Around the 7-month mark, the messages from my old Boston circle started trickling in. I received a confusing text from Veronica's cousin, Jessica. Alex, I saw Veronica the other day. Jessica texted. She was with your cousin, David. He told me you two broke up. This was the first hint of the family betrayal. David was my first cousin, someone I trusted completely. I replied cautiously to Jessica. Yes, we broke up months ago, I confirmed, keeping my reply brief. A few old mutual friends then reached out, clearly confused by conflicting stories. They quickly revealed the web of lies Veronica had been spinning since she walked out. Veronica told everyone you had a breakdown and quit your job. My old colleague Mike wrote. She said you moved to the South to live with your parents. I am a director of R&D, Mike. I informed him plainly. I own a house here. She had entirely fabricated a story of my failure to protect her ego and justify her leaving. I ignored most of the friends but remained polite to Jessica and other family members. I had the satisfaction of knowing her lies were unraveling without my lifting a finger. Update 5. My company achieved a major milestone, successfully completing the phase I trial for one of the drugs under my direction. The company stock surged 15% overnight. I posted the official press release on my LinkedIn profile. My name, my director title, the significant success of the project, and the soaring stock price were all prominently displayed. The post immediately went viral among biotech professionals. The truth of my substantial title, salary, and prestige was now globally public and undeniable. The effect on Veronica was instantaneous. My phone and email were blitzed with frantic, apologetic messages. Veronica, Alex, my God, I am so proud of you. I knew you would do great things. Please talk to me. Veronica, I made the biggest mistake of my life leaving you. I am so lonely and miserable now. Veronica, David is a complete disaster. He is not the man I thought he was at all. The mention of David, my cousin, confirmed the hoax detail. She chose to live with him. He had betrayed me as well. Friends and colleagues from my old Boston life started apologizing en masse. I am so sorry I doubted you. My old manager emailed me. I was convinced you were floundering. Your success is incredible. I just needed a fresh start. I replied, maintaining a professional distance. My own family called, their voices filled with pride and relief. We knew she was holding you back. My aunt told me, you finally got the position you deserve. Her flood of desperate regret and the admission of my cousin's failure brought a quiet sense of triumph. Her malice had led to her own humiliation. I deleted all of Veronica's emails and ignored all her texts. The success I had built was my final ultimate revenge. Update 6. The digital pleading escalated to a physical confrontation exactly 2 weeks later. I was in the lobby of my office building when I saw a woman who looked vaguely familiar. It was Veronica, dressed in a borrowed, expensive-looking suit, trying to look like a corporate executive. She was waiting for me. Alex, I flew down here, she said, rushing toward me, desperation etched on her face. I took 2 days off work to see you. That was unnecessary, Veronica, I stated, my tone firm and cold. I have no desire to talk to you. I had to show you that I've changed, she pleaded, trying to block my path. I realize now that David is nothing like you. He is financially irresponsible and completely lost. David's failure is irrelevant to me, I countered, stepping around her. I am focused on my own life. But I want our life back, she insisted, trying to walk beside me. This beautiful life you have built, I can move in next week. I will support you completely. I stopped and turned to face her, letting my full director-level authority show. You yelled that I would never be enough. I reminded her, keeping my voice low and precise. You said you needed a real man who knows how to lead. I am that leader now. She looked down, shuffling her feet on the polished marble floor. I was mistaken. I see that now, she mumbled. I was jealous of your future potential. You only see my current 6-figure salary and my house. I stated plainly. You have not changed. Only my financial circumstances have changed. I pulled out my phone and called security, simply stating there was an unauthorized person in the lobby. Her eyes widened in panic. No, please. Alex, she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. Don't do this. You chose to walk out. I said, my voice completely firm. I chose to move on. Now leave. She fled the building immediately, humiliated by the threat of security. This was the final, definitive rejection. Update 7. Veronica's final acts of desperation were predictable and easily dismissed. She hired an aggressive lawyer in Boston who sent me a series of demanding legal letters. They claimed an interest in my starting bonus and the equity of my new home. They framed me as the abandoning partner who had taken marital assets and fled the state. I forwarded all correspondence to my corporate lawyer in Raleigh, Julia. Julia was sharp and efficient. She quickly noted that the bonus and the home purchase occurred months after Veronica ended the engagement. I had documented every financial transaction and every insulting text. Julia sent a concise, factual letter back. It detailed the timeline of the breakup and Veronica's explicit refusal to move or continue the relationship. She added a clause about filing for harassment if the demands continued. The legal threats stopped instantly. With the legal route blocked, Veronica turned to social media for a final smear. She created an anonymous profile and posted dozens of lengthy, dramatic accusations. She claimed I was cold, emotionally abusive, and only cared about money and power. Her attempt backfired even more severely than her previous actions. The sheer volume and bitterness of her posts alienated the few remaining people who felt sympathy for her. My cousin David, whose own life had collapsed with her, even stepped forward. David, my cousin, Veronica needs to stop. Alex is a good man. She chose to leave him for me, and I was a failure. Old friend, this is exhausting. She needs to move on. Alex built this all on his own. The public exposure of David's involvement and his admission of failure completely destroyed Veronica's social credibility. The remaining mutual friends saw the depth of her betrayal and her manipulation. She deleted the burner account within a day. The silence that followed was absolute. Update 8. 1 year later, I was living an incredibly rich and satisfying life. I had been promoted again, now holding a regional senior director title with a base salary of $285,000. My stock options had vested, adding over $150,000 to my net worth. I purchased a third property, a small piece of undeveloped land near the coast, as a long-term investment. My life was characterized by professional success and deep personal peace. I was in a loving, stable relationship with my new partner, Sarah, a kind and brilliant project manager I met at a company event. I received one last, final message from Veronica. It was sent from a new, simple email address I didn't recognize. Veronica, I saw a picture of you and Sarah. You look genuinely happy and successful. I am still here, working the same job, watching my friends get married. I am sorry, Alex. I really hope you can forgive me someday. It was a true confession of regret, a statement of painful consequences for her choices. I no longer felt anger, just a distant, objective acknowledgement of her misfortune. I knew the old version of me would have tried to help. The new version knew the value of firm boundaries. I replied with a brief, professional email. Thank you for the note, Veronica. I have moved past this. I wish you the best. I immediately filtered her email address to my junk folder. It was the final, non-dramatic closure I needed. The betrayal had fueled the fire, but my success was now its own self-sustaining engine. My life was everything she said I would never achieve. Final update, 2 months ago, I was back in Boston for a week-long professional development seminar. I decided to contact Veronica's parents, Elizabeth and Richard, who were genuinely kind people. We met at a casual restaurant outside of the downtown area. They were warm but clearly ashamed. Alex, you did not have to meet us, Elizabeth said, her eyes welling up with emotion. We know what Veronica did. I wanted to see how you both were doing, I explained, smiling genuinely. She is struggling, Richard admitted, looking down at his hands. The consequences of her choices have been very hard for her. We raised her to value the appearance of success over genuine character. Elizabeth confessed, her voice full of deep regret. She only saw your salary, not your drive. We apologize for raising her that way. I accepted their apology, recognizing that they were victims of their own flawed value system. Their sincere regret was the final, unexpected piece of validation. The ultimate lesson I learned from this entire saga is clear. When someone tells you you are not enough, they are defining their own limiting belief, not your potential. Do not waste energy trying to convince them. Simply accept their judgment as their final word, and then use their betrayal as the bedrock for your new foundation. When they choose material gain, or an easy path over your loyalty, quietly cut them off and build a life of genuine leadership and success. Your calm, undeniable success will be the only revenge you ever need. I am 33 now, a senior director, and engaged to Sarah. I am happy, fulfilled, and finally enough for myself.